Welcome back to Global LGBTI Politics. 2016 has been quite a turbulent year politically for across the globe, and I think for those of us who are concerned with progressive human rights issues around LGBTI equality, it's been a particularly worrying year. So, to end this year's vlog, I thought I would try and run down of what I thought the top 10 key events or debates have been for the last year. And then at the beginning of 2017, I'll try and do another episode where I look a bit more closely at some of the challenges coming up in the next year and how we might want to engage with them. So coming in at number 10, I'd like to start with something that's more prospective than that's actually happened at the moment, but the World Health Organization is making strong noises that they will very soon declassify being transgender as a mental illness. They'll be reviewing their mental and behavioural disorders listing, if you like, in 2018, and there's strong research coming through that's backing up the case for actually removing that, which is well overdue. At number 9 is the situation faced by LGBTI refugees, especially with the Syria situation and Germany almost taking 1 million refugees from Syria in the last year. It's really full up the news agenda. What is started to get more traction though is the particular experience faced by refugees who are LGBTI. The growth now of refugees within European countries such as the Netherlands, Belgium and particularly in Germany of refugee spaces, particularly for LGBTI people who face not only discrimination from the host country they're arriving in but also amongst the other refugees themselves. There's a lot of work now being undertaken by organisations such as the UK-based UK Lesbian and Gay Immigration Group that really highlight the very particular experiences and difficulties that refugees are facing entering European countries. And I think it's a really important issue that we need to get to grips with even more. Coming in at number 8 is the prevalence of transgender murders taking place in Europe. The Transgender Murder Monitoring Annual Report produced by Transgender Europe has looked and found that 295 trans or gender diverse people have been murdered in the last year. What's particularly interesting and striking for us to look at is that 31% of those murder victims were migrants into Europe from other parts of the world, similar to the conversation I was talking about with the refugee situation. And about 65% of those people identified themselves as sex workers. I think in a time when nationalism and misogyny are flying up the kind of having common currency in political discourse, that trans lives are particularly the battleground in which a lot of these arguments are going to be fought. In June of this year, a gunman, Omar Mateen, walked into the Pulse nightclub in Orlando, killed 49 people and injured 53 others, in what at the time was seen as a Islam-inspired extremist terror attack, and called out as much by Donald Trump during the presidential election. It became much clearer afterwards that it was a more muddied motives behind his attack, because he'd been functioning secretly on social media gay sex apps. So we'll never truly know the motives behind that horrible attack. One of the positive things that's come out of it is, instead of the kind of homo-nationalist whipping up of gay people against Islam as an issue, many gay people set up an organisation called Gays Against Guns, which is trying to discourage the use of kind of gun culture in the US. They've been doing some direct action, which is kind of, it's a more progressive way of kind of dealing with the grief that came out of such a horrendous attack. At number 6, there's the challenge to a tradition of how we look at international LGBTI rights. traditionally we've kind of viewed that the majority of legislation against gay rights has been mainly against buggering. It's kind of focused more at gay men than lesbians, and to a degree the legal issues that women face have always taken a back seat. The Human Dignity Trust earlier this year published a mapping, if you like, of legislation that explicitly is criminalising lesbianism, and we now have a situation where we realise that 44 countries criminalise lesbianism. So what I think this piece of news has been good for is kind of giving the lie to that presumption that if you like, the state violence against LGBT people tends to be aimed at gay men or bisexual men. Okay, we're at the halfway point now of the list of the top LGBTI kind of global political issues of the last year. I'll be publishing 5 till number 1. I'm afraid Donald Trump will be in there somewhere, it's a slight spoiler, by New Year's Eve. So please stay tuned for that edition. And if you haven't already, please feel free to go to Global LGBTI Politics on Facebook and join our Facebook group. All right, thanks very much for tuning in, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.